and it's a World Cup story.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if you're planning to make it out for the World Cup, U.S. restaurants are adding mandatory tips to bills before foreign visitors arrive for the World Cup.
Yeah, because we're one of the few countries that tip.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We are. And so this is a way.
I don't normally like mandatory tips, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen and see where I fall on this one.
I know. Hackles immediately up, right?
Yeah.
Restaurant owners in U.S. cities hosting the FIFA World Cup 2026, stacking up to be the most expensive in history, are adding a mandatory tip to checks to account for the fact that international visitors do not share America's tipping culture. Tipping is, for better or worse, built into the expected compensation of restaurant workers in the U.S. Most American servers and bartenders earn less than minimum wage and largely rely on tips to make up the difference. Some restaurants in U.S. host cities, expecting an influx of millions of international visitors for the tournament, plan to combine the tip into the overall cost of the meal to ensure their workers are compensated. The move comes as soccer fans have already been hit by sky-high costs for flights, hotels, tickets, and transportation to the games. In Atlanta, for example, T Brunch Bar will increase its existing automatic 18% gratuity to 20%. Different people's cultures, it's not nothing bad, they just don't tip, says Tanisha Murray Butler, who owns the restaurant. They're not used to it in other countries, and so they just don't like to tip. And I don't know if it's they don't like it. It's just
not part of.
It's not on their radar
Not
that
part
that's
of their culture.
an expectation.
Yeah.
Restaurants in other host cities are taking the same measure. In Boston, some businesses have proposed a mandatory 20% tip be added to customers' final bills. Steve DiFilippo, who owns an Italian restaurant called Davio's and who serves in the Massachusetts Restaurant Association Board, told NBC 10 Boston that restaurants will notify customers of the policy change by including a message on their menus. He said the move was critical to protecting workers. Our servers and bartenders are the lifeblood of our industry, and we would never want them to get hurt, he told the broadcaster. George Pantos, owner of Jimmy's Pub and Restaurant in Mansfield, disagreed with adding a mandatory service charge. He told NBC 10 that he'd prefer to post signs reminding visitors to tip and to trust that they will tip on their own. If we're as busy as we speculate, it won't be a problem, he told the outlet. The same concerns over employee well-being are driving a push for mandatory tips in Kansas City. Michael Burris, the executive director of the Missouri Restaurant Association, told the Kansas City Beacon that the organization is advising restaurants in the city to add mandatory tips to diners' bills during the 6-week tournament. If I was a server, I wouldn't be happy if I took care of somebody for 90 minutes and they didn't tip just because they didn't know any better. The mandatory tip policies are expected to be temporary, but they'll still be implemented at the time when Americans are already being squeezed. David Henke's, the senior principal of food research at Technomic, told Fox News Digital that making tipping mandatory could upset the already cash-strapped locals living in high-cost cities. Restaurant traffic has been declining, and anything that is perceived to increase the cost does risk some consumer backlash, he said, particularly if it's not well publicized or if the consumers feel there is an expectation to tip on top of the automatic tip. So how do you feel?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get this one. I think you got to really let people know up front, especially like if you're a server and you're like, okay, just so you know, during this time, tip is already included.
Yes.
When a server tells me that, then I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
You know, and just say, you know, hey, this is
why
we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. I get why you're doing it, but have the conversation.
Yeah.
And, you know, not everyone's going to have that conversation, and there's going to be some upset people. There's going to be some pushback.
I feel like with American consumers, at least, the server should definitely have the conversation to be like, hey, with the World Cup, we do have mandatory tip included in the tab. And just so they know, because again, Americans, we expect a tip. And so where you get hurt feelings when there's a grat already added into the tab is when someone leaves a tip on top of it and they realize after the fact that they tipped twice.
Yeah.
And so I think that having that communication with someone that is from a tipping culture, then they know, like, if you want to give me extra, then give me extra, but it's already included in the tab. But having been a server, and we had seasons where it was mostly international tourists, it sucks to work those shifts. Yeah. It just does.
Well, I can tell you when you travel, the servers seek out Americans over other countries.
Yes.
Because they know,
Americans are going to tip.
If I take care of these guys, I'm gonna get a tip.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
but having been a server that had to wait on lots of international tourists, it sucks when your pay gets halved just because they don't know. And so I totally get where these restaurant associations and restaurant owners are coming from, because I mean, yes, you can have the argument that tipping shouldn't be intrinsic to the service industry and that they should be paid minimum wage or whatever. A lot of American servers don't want to be paid an hourly rate because they can make more with tips. So that is a conversation, and that is a give and a take. And I get both sides of that argument. Right now we have a tipping culture, so I totally understand why they would make sure that these international guests are not stipping people accidentally.
Yeah, no, they got bills to pay.
Yes. All right, that happened to the trends.
Yeah, like I said, it's just, as long as they're upfront with it.
Yeah,
I'm good with it. I mean, I will warn a friend of mine who will be outraged. And he is going to the World Cup, so
yep. Let him know.
I will let him know.